Hey, this is Phil Lilly. I'm on Lake Taneycomo this morning. It is the last day of June 2015. And I'm up here above Fall Creek a little ways. If you recognize this little patch of trees right here, it's the bottom of the island just above Fall Creek. And this is water that flows back behind the island, but there's 4 units running. And there's very little current right here. Yeah, it's a nice place to come up here. I just saw some fish when I pulled up in here, kind of meandering around the weeds here, and it's actually a pretty nice place to come back here and fly fish. Fish a little float under, or a zebra midge or something under a float, a jig. But what I wanted to do is I was going to come and work this bank down across from Fall Creek. Me and a friend came up here, Brian, last evening, and we fished that bank and caught some really nice fish. Didn't have the video camera going or anything, and we didn't take any pictures, but we caught them on a sculpin 1/8 ounce jig and a sculpin and a peach 1/8 ounce jig. Didn't catch any browns, or we caught one brown, one small brown. But we caught some really nice rainbows. So really just wanted to come up here and in this slack water I'll throw a little bit, but come up here and get situated and get all my stuff on, and we'll move down here and hit this moving water here in a second. But I want to throw a few times in this slack water and just see if anything's interested. Because this water's moving so slow, I would prefer to be throwing a 3/32 or a 1/16 ounce, maybe 2-pound line. I got 4-pound on this in the slower water. That way I don't have to work the jig quite as fast. It's not real deep in here. It's probably not over 7 feet deep. There's a lot of areas that are a lot more shallow. Starting to get a little bit more current as I move down lake. There's a fish. The fog and the low light, it's a little difficult to watch my line. It's like I'm seeing it sometimes. I do try to watch the line. Simply because a lot of times you're not going to feel the bite. You're going to see your line go slack, or you see your line do a little pop. Just like that. Didn't feel anything. I just saw my line kind of pop up. This is about where we started catching them yesterday. He didn't bite very hard, but he's a nice fish. There's a lot of wood on this bank, so you gotta really watch where you're throwing. Problem with fishing a bank that's got a lot of wood on it, and when I say wood, it's just a lot of trees. They're laying down in the lake. The tendency is to work your jig too fast and work it too shallow and not get it down where the fish are, but then you you're not going to lose your jigs as fast. Or you're not going to lose as many jigs. So it's kind of a catch-22. If you want to catch fish, you're going to lose some jigs. Or if you want to be safe, what did I just say? Oh, it came off. Always check your jig when you get snagged and it pulls off, because it'll bend your hook. Yeah, I'm not seeing my line until I get pretty close to the boat. I like to slow the boat down a little bit when I work a bank, because usually the water closer to the bank is moving slower than the current that I'm in. And if I just let the boat go, not throw to the bank, the boat would go down and the jig would actually drag behind me. I don't like that. Especially behind these docks, the water's going a lot slower. So I'll take the trolling motor and I'll point it straight upstream and hit it a few times to get me going about the same speed as my jig retrieve. Gets real deep around these docks. You can really let that jig drop. Little brown. That's about right. And hitting the trolling motor and slowing the boat down, I've got more time to fish between these docks. Now as I get to the dock, I'll hit the trolling motor, slow it down. There's a little tap. Last night they were tapping it pretty good too. That means they're just being aggressive. If I can feel that bite. They've got such a soft mouth. Yeah, I'm only going to get one cast in there. You have such a small mouth, for you to feel the tap, basically the jig head hitting the top of the fish's mouth or sides. For you to feel that, they've got to be hitting it pretty hard. A bass or a crappie or a white bass, when you feel the tap, they've got a lot harder mouth. So you're going to feel that tap a lot more than, say, a trout. Trout's got a real soft mouth. Oh, that wasn't a bad fish. I'm holding myself in the current here. There's pretty good space between these docks. And the water's not moving that fast up there, so I can work it pretty good. There's fish back here. Little one. If I can get him in and get him off before I can, probably not. He's pretty. That is a really pretty fish. A lot of real nice colors. white tips on the fins. On this last dock here, you got a guide wire that goes from the corner to the dock to the bank, so you got to be a little careful on that. Gonna move in a little bit here. Doggone it, that was a good fish. It's distracting, this tree. That was a tap. Love it when they tap it. You know, a lot of times when I get a good tap like that, it's a brown trout. And that's what this one is. Last time I got a tap, it was that little brown. Maybe a little longer. Browns tend to be more aggressive. I'm gonna get one more cast in before I hit this dock. From about where that for sale sign was down to here, fishing really got slow. So if you're fishing this, you might want to pick back up and go back up and fish that again. Now, I usually do real good in between these docks from here to Short Creek. The water deepens and slows down again, and fish will hold in this deeper water. It's a real good area to drift out behind me. But last evening, we didn't catch that many down through these docks, so see if it's any different this morning. That water really slowed down after it comes off that shallow area below the boat ramp. Really let that jig drop, get down. Although I can still see the bottom here, it's not that deep. There's a fish. Pretty good one too. Pretty. I'm missing all this good water. Good fish. Real stocky fish. Oh, I missed him. And he's still after it. Here's a little one. He was running after it. Working too fast. Slow down. Ooh. There's the fish. Ooh, he's spitting up scuds. Just above Short Creek. Nice chunky fish. Oh, he's thick. Well, we are at Short Creek. Ooh. Ooh, pretty fish. Whew. How pretty that fish is. Beautiful. Oh, pretty little brown. Boy. These fish just almost drifted it. I'm not between the docks, I'm out from the docks, and I'm just getting it down there deep and jigging it. They're liking it, whatever I'm doing right or wrong. I gave you a kind of a detailed description of how I fish that bank from Fall Creek to Short Creek. What I'm thinking when I go around docks, and hopefully that helps.